move on to the Acolyte, episode 4.
uh,
Far too short. I'm going to say it off rip. From start to finish, it's like 28 minutes.
half an hour.
Not enough happens. There's only, 8 episodes of the Acolyte?
I'm okay. I mean, we knew it was going to be like this. I get you. It did. I think it felt shorter than it maybe would have done because of how quick things kind of suddenly ramped at the end, and they ended on like quite a cliffhanger. So it felt very abrupt, and I think that made it feel shorter. Like I don't know, because I looked at the time, and I was like, it's been a half an hour episode. Obviously, give or take a bit, but like I was like, that's fine.
I understand that. My big issue is we are halfway through the season now, and I understand it's a mystery, so we're not supposed to know everything straight away. It should be like, this makes sense in like the last 2 episodes. But I feel like not a lot has happened in 4 episodes.
It's definitely been
like 3 of the Jedi they're trying to kill are dead, and we've only seen 1 fight.
Yeah, I mean we were about to get a really sick fight, and then it ended.
When like the entire story is about May is trying to kill the 4 Jedi who she views as the reason that her family fell apart, and 3 of them are now dead. We got a fight scene for the very first one, which was the first scene of the show. Other one drank poison, and the third one is just a dead body we find, which was a Wookiee Jedi, for fuck's sake. They've robbed us of that.
They did.
I'm just a little bit like, so what are these next 4 episodes? Do you know what I mean?
I think we've been kind of thinking it's going to be about like her hunting these Jedi down. I think the whole time it's been more of a focus on a mystery on what happened so long ago and who this Sith guy is. I actually think this story is gonna. I think the Jedi are gonna think they've won in the end, but I think we're only gonna get a very loose tease of who the actual person really behind the scenes was pulling the strings. This Sith guy isn't actually gonna be the true one.
I don't believe so, no.
But I mean, overall, like the episode fell short, but I did enjoy this episode. I like that we're getting a bit more of a clues, I guess, or like thoughts onto who the Sith guy is. Because my opinion is it's Kymer, the guy that's with May.
Yeah, but with how mysterious they're trying to make everything, that would seem very obvious. I would actually be a bit disappointed if that was the case now, because he's almost there like a massive red herring.
So it's either going to go 2 ways. It's either he is meant to feel like, oh, that was very weird of an episode where so many things pointed and then he conveniently isn't there when the bad guy shows up. Either they're doing that to try and throw us off the scent of who it could actually be, or in what is pretty typical Star Wars fashion, the Sith look at Palpatine, like to be in plain sight, pretend like they're not anything to do with being the guy, and are actually the one in charge, like the one pulling the strings. There was a lot of things that kind of point to it being potentially him. The fact that like he'd already been to the planet and found Karnaka would mean he would have been able to get, if he's a strong force user, he gets out of that snare very quickly. He can get to where Karnaka's hut quicker than May can because he knows where it is. And the fact that she was then threatening she was going to explain everything, that's why he would go and kill Karnaka, kind of to almost try and frame her for doing it. The way he's like, if you think back to, I think was it episode 2 when they had the fight in the in the alleyway, he was very quick and was able to defend himself against her, considering she's pretty good with the Force and he's meant to be just some guy.
I think it's more likely that the Master is his apprentice. And the Master that she views is actually a middleman between them two, so he gets to not be the one giving her instructions, but he gets to watch her more closely?
I don't think so, just because timeline-wise, it would be Plagueis or Tenebrous, and they are very unique
That's
alien
assuming they're
races.
Siths.
Yeah, this is
That's
assuming
assuming
they're
they're Sith.
Siths. With everything I think we were told before the show, though, is that this is Sith. So if it's not, that is going to be the first thing that will annoy me with this show if they turn around and go, "Oh, this isn't Sith, by the way," even though all the
Did they
marketing.
confirm it? Did they
I
confirm
think
it's definitely Sith though, or was
I'm
it just
sure she
evil
said it.
Force user?
No, I'm sure she said this is like a Sith focused story because it's meant to be
I,
the
I'm,
fall of the High Republic, which is the Sith did that. So I think my attitude is this is a guy that is an apprentice to Plagueis or something, whether it's Chimera or not. He is like all apprentices trying to gets greedy and wants to overpower their master. And I think using people and using May, he's thinking, oh, I can use them to manipulate the Jedi, which is what my master wants me to do. And then and then if they're powerful, I can use them to overrule my master. I don't think he's going to be actually the main Sith guy that's in power at the moment, sneakily. And I think it could be Cameo. It would kind of play into also like the Darth Jar Jar trope of being like bit clumsy, bit all over the place, but actually you're a dark Sith Lord.
yeah.
Which I'm not against.
I want a bit more pace in these last 4 episodes. We spent 2 episodes getting up and running, which I'm absolutely fine with. Flashback episode, okay. You could have just got that through drip feeding. We're now halfway through, and I'm not invested in any one character that heavily because we've not had enough time with any of them. Don't get me wrong, the acting's great, the story's solid, but I feel like if you want to move at this speed, we probably needed 12 episodes.
Yeah, I guess it depends where they get like how. Because the way I see this happening, I'm fine with the flashback being 1 episode because they were clearly trying to show it just from May's, Osha's point of view. So that was very specific. Like, if you can't really drip feed that because it would get, I don't know, it just feels like it makes more sense to do that like that because they're trying to mess with us and seeing only one perspective. I was okay with this. I just would have preferred this episode to actually have had the fight. I feel like they should have kept the fight in this one because we were about to see they could have done this fight. Really, they're clearly going to show us how fucking powerful this Sith guy is. The fact that he just flicks Osha away, then force blasts like 6 of them.
Yeah, including the Jedi Master with ease is crazy.
So like he's clearly going to this fight's clearly going to show him like whooping ass. I think they should have done that, and then everyone would have been like, "Holy shit, who's this Sith guy?" Like he just absolutely wrecked. Like people would then be like, "Okay, this guy's for real." We're gonna clearly get an episode which actually shows at some point what happened with the witches, because in this episode, Sol says to Osha, "I'll explain everything later." So they clearly are hiding something. The fact that Kalnaka as well was inscribing the symbol all over the place in his base, clearly he's got some nightmare or PTSD from whatever happened that night.
Yeah. This is the thing, though. You're saying this. This fight and the aftermath of it will take up next episode.
Yeah.
You think we're going to get another episode that shows us what actually happened? That only leaves us 2 episodes to wrap up this end of the story.
Yeah, but I think all the wrap up's going to be is, I think so my attitude is this Sith guy's going to get defeated, and they're going to cover it up. I think that's how the story, like, they don't actually find out that. I think they defeat the Sith guy or work out who it is and defeat him. I think then the Jedi cover it up, which is why the High Council doesn't know about it, which is why in the prequels they're like, we haven't seen Sith in millennia. also points to the Ki-Adi Mundi line that everyone's up in arms about and complaining that he's in it. I'm fine with him being in it. People that are like, he shouldn't be alive. He wouldn't. There is no canon information about how old he was in the prequels and how old those
Yeah, there's
races
only
lived to.
Legends information, isn't there?
Yeah. The idea that he would then have the, and I get the whole thing of the line. Well, he has the line of, we haven't seen Sith in millennia. This is
They called it a
outrageous.
Splinter Order. They don't think it's Sith.
This is the thing. I think the people in that original council aren't gonna actually ever, like, I think even they're not gonna learn what actually has gone down. I think Sol and the greenskin lady, which I forget her name right now, I think they're gonna, and the people at this place, I think this is gonna be kept very tight knit and covered up. Which would make sense why the Jedi then. So I think there is enough time in this series to wrap all that up.
I'm skeptical. I think going from this guy kicking 6 Jedi's ass lightweight to we've defeated him and covered it up in 2 episodes' time because you're losing an episode to a flashback in your head, I think is just a little bit like, oh, so he wasn't that powerful then. I think having someone kick ass and then get beaten less than an hour of showtime later is crazy. It's giving Power Rangers, and no villain in in an episode of Power Rangers ever felt that powerful unless they were the bad guy for the whole season who kept popping in and fucking shit up. And then, do you know what I mean? That's my concern. I don't want someone who seems powerful to just all of a sudden get taken down pretty easily.
It's either that, or if there is going to be a second season, they figure it out, but they don't get to defeat him.
Yes, that would make more sense to me. But that's my only concern. I feel like the current pacing is perfect for 12 episodes, but a bit slow for 4, maybe. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, because the next episodes could actually fit. They could be a bit longer.
Yes, exactly. There have been times where we thought the pacing's going to be fine, and they fuck it at the end. There's been times we've been worried about the pacing, and it's ended up being fine. It is wait and see, but that is always a thing that we do like to discuss.
There was the bit when the same race that is Plo Koon. I saw that and I was like, oh my god, is that Plo Koon?
Yeah,
immediately Googled.
I did the exact same thing.
I Googled, is that Plo Koon? And it was like, the first thing was like, is that Plo Koon in episode 4? No. I was like, okay, well, there's my answer.
Yeah, I saw him because he's such a distinctive alien. I was like,
he would be alive then as well.
Oh, really? Is that how old their race gets to?
Yeah, apparently he would be alive, but it isn't. He's just another one of them. The Ki-Adi Mundi one, like, I get people being surprised. I think people need to chill out. It's not that deep.
It's a proper rogue Jedi to just have cutting about.
It is. It's one of them. Like, I get people being like, well, why would he share this line? One, we haven't seen the rest of the show. We don't know what other information he's going to get. From that one, like you say, the line of they go, oh, it could be a splinter organization. Maybe that's all he thinks it ever was.
Yeah, and if he never gets any more information.
Yeah, people jumping to conclusions too much because they're like, you've pulled a prequel one, and then they're up in arms. Also, I noticed that they mention in that they're like, oh, we can't tell the High Council. It's their way of being like, we haven't got the budget for Yoda. They're really making sure Yoda doesn't show up. But yeah, I think Kalnaka's definitely was racked with something.
It sucks that we're not going to get to see more of Kalnaka.
I think we get him in a flashback.
That's not the same.
It's not, but I think that flashback will show whatever fight went down at that temple. So maybe we'll get to see him fight a little bit. But yeah, I think something was same way that like Torben went, I'm putting myself in a meditative state as punishment. I think Kalnaka, his head was messed up, which is why he exiled himself to the forest.
Absolutely.
Them Umbra moths were creepy as fuck on the trees.
Yeah. Do you know what wasn't creepy as fuck and has been added onto the very cute Star Wars animal list? Basil.
Do you want to know a fun fact? Because I watched.
He's like a little otter dude.
Yeah, so I've watched breakdowns and stuff as well because I always do to get a bit more information on stuff I obviously don't. I only know so much Star Wars stuff. apparently they were in Legends, that race, as pretty solid, high diplomatic, like, people. They have great, like, diplomatic knowledge and whatnot, and he's being used as a bloodhound.
That's really funny.
Which is like, sure, maybe they, like, some were, maybe the idea is that some obviously were intelligent enough to be diplomatic people, but because that's the only other time they've been mentioned in, like, Legends, and I don't know if they've come back into canon, it's just funny for the fact that now in this is they're used as like a bloodhound.
He is very cute though. Add him to the species of very, very cool things.
Yeah. I'm trying to
I
think.
got very excited. I'm an absolute sucker for cute, weird alien races in Star Wars. Just like every time there's a new droid, I'm like, I will die for him.
Well. Pip fucking squirting him in the face was funny.
Yeah, so funny. But yeah, Ewoks, the ones from the fucking sequels. I can't pronounce.
Oh,
the little
Poggle?
dudes.
Oh no,
Poggle.
Something like that.
You know, everyone knows the ones. And random little droids. I collect them like trading cards. I'm like, I will protect all of you with my life. And then there's just Chopper sat next to me like a guard dog because he doesn't need protection. I need to protect others from him. Fucking war criminal.
I will say before we finish, that the people that are still watching this and hating it,
just stop. Save yourself the headache.
Yeah, get a fucking life. Also, to the people that, obviously we talked last week about what complaints, some people were complaining about it, and then there's more of the complaint that I've seen since then was the fact that, oh, they've made it so Anakin's not special anymore. Sorry, but boo-hoo. Like, cool, yeah, Anakin was meant to be the chosen one, and there's old Legends theories that maybe it was like Palpatine created him. And it's like, if you want to go by that, then this makes sense, because if this is all linked into Palpatine and all the dark side, like, this is their first attempt at doing that, and then they figured out how to do it better and did Anakin. But they're like the complaints that, oh, this just takes away from Anakin being special, and oh, so apparently everyone can use the Force now. It's like, you clearly just don't get that this is a different period of time.
Yeah. But also, like, the entire Star Wars legend and mythos is very much, yes, everyone can use the Force in theory.
Yeah.
It's just your midichlorians need to be high enough to do it. To the level of a Jedi. Just because Jedi are like, say, have a limit of 5,000, I'm not saying that's what it is, but say, there's still going to be a bunch of people who sit below that who will have a bit of that power, but aren't powerful enough without training to be worried about. That's where all these witches could sit.
Yeah.
Bar like one or two.
Oh, that was,
what I mean?
someone was like, oh, they're witches, and what we know of witches, they use magic, not the Force. It's like, no, you're thinking of the witches of Dathomir. These aren't the witches of Dathomir.
Yeah,
they've
they
called
made
themselves
that very
witches.
clear.
Like, people are just like, they see something, run with it, don't care to look into it, and they're like, this shows shit. And it's like, oh, just. And then there's like the other thing I saw is Kathleen Kennedy made some. I mean, she is the worst part about Star Wars at Disney. Don't get me wrong, but she already has less control than she used to. She made some comment in an interview like, oh, it's 2024, we should move away from the words such as the light side and the dark side, because basically trying to be like, it sounds racist saying it that way. To which obviously, understandably, all the fans are like, what the fuck, I've never thought of it that way.
No,
also, but then the fans being like, oh my god, Disney are changing it from being light side and dark side, what the fuck? It's like, no, that's not going to fucking happen, because Dave Filoni is the head of creative, and you think him or George is going to let that actually get changed, you're having a joke.
Do you know what? Do you know what it needs? And it sucks that we have to say this. It needs George Lucas to just go on his Twitter and just go, I fucking love the Acolyte. Stop. Keep my name out your motherfucking mouth if you're trying to talk shit. Because the amount of people who are like, George would hate this. Like, he's dead and he has no... Like, we know Dave answered a lot of questions, and we know Dave and George are like best buds when it comes to nerding out over this shit. There is no way they would have done something in this that George's like, that is abhorrent.
Yeah, we know Dave Filoni oversees all this stuff. If there was something that really broke the story, he wouldn't have let it pass. So yeah, I think I'd love to see George Lucas come out and go, yeah, I'm like, Acolyte's great. I think it's cool that they're expanding into the High Republic. Do you know what would happen? People would be like, oh my god, Disney's got to George. Like, they'd suddenly no longer believe his word. And it's...
Do you know what the worst bit is, though? of all of the writers who've worked on Star Wars, George Lucas is probably one of the worst. Because as we've discussed, he is a visual mastermind when it comes to making films. But as a script writer, he was not good.
Visual mastermind, great world builder, not the best script writer.
Yes.
But,
And we
like-
know this because in the prequels, it was basically just him and the dialogue was shit.
Mhm.
In the original trilogy, when it was okay, do you know what he had? One of the best script doctors in Hollywood history playing the main character of Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Carrie
totally.
Fisher is like one of the was one of the most loved script doctors in the world. They would have a script, they'd send it to her, and she would fix it up so it actually was even better. That was what she spent a lot of her time doing when she wasn't in the middle of a project of her own. She probably started doing that on Star Wars.
Mm.
And that's probably why them initial scripts were better than the ones we got in the prequels. Because George had Carrie there going, that makes no fucking sense, George.
Yeah. We obviously we spend a lot of time ragging on the heroes, but I think the people that they want more Star Wars, but then they complain anytime we venture into a new period of Star Wars. Like, this isn't going to stop. We're going to keep seeing new periods of time. And that's going to mean there is a lot of creative freedom. And maybe they make some decisions you disagree with. But it's still all Star Wars and it's still pretty fucking cool. Just enjoy it. It's not that deep.
Watch what you like, and if you don't like it, stop watching it.
Yeah.
If you've watched 4 episodes of The Acolyte now and all you can do is bitch and moan, at this point, seek mental help. If you can't just go, you know what, this show isn't for me, and turn it off.
Yeah, if you're like, this is ruining everything I love, and it's like, Star Wars is your entire personality and how you live your life, I'm sorry. Touch grass.
And we have a podcast where we spend 2 hours a week
Yeah.
talking about nerdy shit, and we're saying that. Come on, get a grip.